So he comes out in his Union Jack line of apparel, and he comes to the ring. But before he can speak, out comes Cody Rhodes. And the crowd, they just sing and sing and sing. And Cody says, "We've heard you speak for 2 weeks, John. Now I'm going to have to do your job for you. Is this where you cook me?" And Cody goes through all the things of which John can roast him about. The fact that I've got a lisp, and it's hard for me to say things with S's like Stardust. And we do get a Stardust chant in London. He says, I know what you can say, that I've got an arm tattoo, but it's on my neck. And says that you can bring up that I was booed in the company that I created. That I single-handedly launched and single-handedly changed the business with.
I got booed in a company I created isn't necessarily like one of even the top 10 things I feel like somebody would think about, when they're thinking about things to make fun of Cody Rhodes about. So
yeah, kind of tough for Cena to use that as ammo.
Yeah, or just like it's not even something that I that comes to mind for me, at least, like even in thinking about his AEW run, like what are the negatives of that particular run? Maybe Cena could have pointed out the I saved racism promo. Maybe that would be what stands out more, but okay. Yeah, interesting.
Maybe if they have a feud into like Black History Month, Cena will go there. So Cody says, "Your words have not matched your actions, and I think you've lied for the last 2 weeks. And you and I used to ride together." And he asks Cena to tell the people why. Cena explains, "I'm not going to punch down to your level, Cody. You've been protected long enough. I'm going to bury you, just like I buried everybody else." He says, "I don't bury people. I am talent. I bury mediocrity. And Cody, you have manipulated your way to the top. You're nothing more than my chauffeur. A slimy pickpocket who thinks just because he stole the blueprint, thinks he can run the kingdom." At this point, I thought between like the lightheartedness of Cody's like jokes here and this delivery by Cena, I was like, where is this going? I thought this was brutal at the start. Like Cena was in his like heel voice, but we had more material here. So this was him just going. He says that Cody disgusts him. "You stole everything from me and drilled it into you to be authentic. I tried to drill it into you to be authentic. You're too polished. You're too rehearsed. You rely on lazy gimmicks like the fans singing to get by. Just like the Pied Piper. You trick the people to like mediocrity, and you are nothing beyond your entrance and music." He says, "I could body you before I even took my first breath." Cody states that he is still afraid. He says, "You are still afraid to show us who you are. You've given us a generic mix of every superstar you've ever loved or TV show you've ever watched." He says, "You're some big, confused blob. You feel like a 16-year-old still afraid of public speaking. And this is enough to trick these people nowadays."
Now, is that a reference to Cody actually taking acting lessons at the age of 16?
I don't think it would have been. Like, that's when he did go to act. I don't know if he was as young as 16, though. He was still in high school in 16. It was like his early 20s. He went to the Howard Fine School.
It seems like a very specific example to bring up, unless there was some truth to it.
I think he was just trying, that he was, because he was not doing, because he went to LA for school, for the acting school, and he was still doing like high school wrestling at this point. But he says this is enough to trick these people nowadays, and that you are a paint by numbers sociopathic nepo baby. Your tattoo exposes you as just a common fan. You're just like them. I'm the last real champion. I will expose you for who you are, an errand boy that got lucky. And by the end of this, there were fans like that were kind of all chanting for Cena by the end of this, before Cody took his turn here. What did you think about the Cena portion here before we move on to Cody's retort?
Well, very much like you, John. I thought in general, I think Cena's delivery as the heel is still a little too over the top and cartoonish for my particular taste.
I thought this one was like really cartoonish, like in his delivery of some of this.
Yeah, there's still something about it that, I mean, for all of his sort of criticisms of his opponent not feeling authentic, I mean,
This heel character doesn't feel authentic 3 weeks in. Like, this feels like I'm John Cena playing the role of bad guy on the show, and I've always wanted to do this. And he feel like, compare this to, I mean, go like up and down of like your heel promos on
Punk, like maybe at his best. Roman, even I would suggest. You know, I think
he called him a pickpocket, a Pied Piper.
I don't have as much of an issue with some of the verbiage as much as the actual delivery. I mean, but again, I think we relax a lot of those expectations because it's John Cena doing it, and that alone has a novelty attached to it. Again, I bring up like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan wasn't a great heel promo, but because it was Hulk Hogan doing it, that's what kind of made it cool. That's what made it work. But if we'd have to like maybe pick at something that I think was a negative, I still continue to not like Cena's delivery very, very much. I think the content was great in the promo. I thought he gave a very satisfying reason for turning on Cody, like something we've kind of been asking for this whole time. We know why he turned on the fans, but why exactly did he turn on Cody, and what exactly did Cody do to wrong him? And I think we got the answer here, and it's that he hates seeing somebody who he sees as being inauthentic holding the championship that he put so much of his own effort into. And I actually think retroactively, it actually does a decent job of explaining why he turned on the fans, because in recent weeks, I guess Cena had been complaining about the fans wronging him somehow, and we were all left confused because where exactly did that wronging happen? Because for the last several years, he's been pretty beloved as a nostalgia act. I suppose from with this promo, we are supposed to infer that our wronging of Cena is our selection and our acceptance of Cody Rhodes as our champion. You know, sort of like maybe like, you know, you like an ex that you break up with, you want to be friends with your ex, but then you see who your ex is dating now, and it's somebody you completely despise. Now you're just disappointed in that ex. You might even be that, you know, angry at them. So for me, that all of that worked. What about you?
I wasn't as high on it as you. I thought that it was like, as the promo went, I think by the end of this, if I like break down a lot of the verbiage, it wasn't like my favorite stuff. But what I thought that this did accomplish is that, number one, like the audience really got into this. They got into like the jabs back and forth, which intensified throughout these like 20 plus minutes. And by the end of it, like you are creating this, this divide between the two and trying to, create this animosity between them and giving them the latitude to go to whatever areas the audience feels is crossing the line with one another. Like that was the idea here. By the end of, let's keep going through this, and then we'll talk at the end of this. It's WrestleMania month on the Post Wrestling Cafe, and we are going to have wall-to-wall coverage of the events from Las Vegas beginning Thursday, April 17th. We're going to be doing daily shows on the Post Wrestling Cafe featuring myself, John Cena, and many more of the Post Wrestling staff. Plus, this month, it is 2 editions of Rewind Away as we cover SummerSlam 1997 and a retrospective of Jumbo Tsuruta. All that, plus coverage of New Japan's Sakura Genesis, Windy City Riot, Collision Course, and of course, Daredevil Born Again on MCU later. PostWrestlingCafe.com, $6 gets you in the door. Cody gets his response. He said, I was chosen, but I was chosen by the fans. You were chosen by one guy in an office who isn't around anymore and who we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Because he's the subject of a sex trafficking lawsuit that our company are also defendants in and are trying to stop the discovery phase from being entered into.
I think certain guys get special clearance to pull the Vince card from time to time. I guess Punk probably
we got a show to sell. We got a WrestleMania main event. We got to invoke Vince, Tony Khan, and and all things are on the table here. So he says Cena is the company creation, not me. He says, I don't know why everyone's so terrified to go against you on a microphone, because you've got more dick in that promo than you do in your jorts. He says, you hang out with Zac Efron.
What does having dick in a promo
dude,
exactly
I don't know
mean?
what this meant. I didn't know what this meant.
It sounds cool. You got dick in that promo.
Well, everyone
That's
went,
a lot
ooh,
of dick
he
in
said
that promo.
dick. I was like, what does this mean? Like he's got...
Maybe it's
like,
a British thing.
I'm not scared of going against you on the microphone because you got more balls on your
no, not balls.
When you're talking,
he's got dick.
He's got more
which
dick.
I think is supposed to like be a form of saying like it's bullshit or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was someone's going to break this down for us, and I'm so thankful that someone's going to message us and explain to us what more dick in that promo means. He said, "You are the one that hangs out with Zac Efron and wish you were 16. And what you have is you created a lot of disenfranchised fans and ones who made it easy for talent like me to pack up and go elsewhere. So don't pretend you made this place better than when you found it." And asks which one of us sold out to The Rock. I'm not familiar with this name he brought up at the end of this question, but this being the idea here that, you know, this was at a time when the audience was rejecting the product that you were the poster boy for, and it disenfranchised talent and it turned our fan base off as well. So I liked where they were going there. This was the first time we had any mention of The Rock since Elimination Chamber. However, I have my own thoughts on this Rock thing by the end of it. This brought up his name, but this by no means connected anything. It was just like, this was almost like checking off a box so that people can't now accuse us of not bringing up The Rock since this pay-per-view. But I think you are still out to, like, they are still completely divided from the angle to this buildup that we are now 3 weeks into.
Yeah, it really just kind of felt like their way of answering the criticisms that they won't mention his name. Well, now that they could say they mentioned his name, but they still have not really tied him or explained his involvement in this storyline at all, nor John Cena's actual reasons for siding with him and how it plays into like the story that was set out before Elimination Chamber. At this point, though, I don't know if we can like criticize anymore these particular two for not mentioning The Rock, or even the promo writers for not mentioning The Rock, because it really does feel to me like they kind of have their hands tied, and that the decision.
I'm not criticizing these two, but I'm absolutely going to criticize the storytelling here. Like you can't heap all the praise when you shoot this great angle and then absolve that criticism when the follow-up has been non-existent for your biggest program of the year.
I get yes, but I guess like how often do we need to mention that? You know, like we know what the situation is. They are unable to mention him, and it's clear to me that it's intentional rather than something that's an oversight, right? So we continue to ask questions about what exactly is going on with Dwayne. I wonder if we'll get the story soon enough. I wonder if this time we'll get it behind the curtain, but we shall see. So. Any more recap to do for this?
There's plenty more here. Cody informs Cena, "You're still my hero, but you're also a piece of shit." And Cena says that your brain is full of feces instead of facts. Cena says, "I was never protected from an audience. No one has ever been worthy of putting me in the ground, so I did it myself. No matter what garbage they gave me, I made it great." So he acknowledges, yeah, we were pretty creatively bankrupt for a long period of time, and I did some god-awful promos, but I did my best with what I had. Cody had to leave because at your best, you can't wipe my ass. And he makes, I make empires for billionaires. All you do is steal it from their kids. And this got a big, ooh, AEW, man. Edgy.
Yeah.
So Cena goes to leave. Cody brings Cena back in by stating, "They never chanted, 'You can't wrestle' at me." And this is enough for Cena to come back into the ring. And he teases going at it, but then he backs down. And as he goes to leave, Cody goes for him, and he hits him with the crossroads. And there is Cena, who sold this like he had just been blown up. He's on the floor, unconscious from this crossroads. And there's boos for Cena. And then Cody just makes the bullet signal to the WrestleMania sign as the fans sing for him. And also during this promo, it was confirmed that this will go on last as the other main event of WrestleMania. 24 and a half minutes, and our first bit of physicality between Cody and Cena with 3 weeks to go.
Mm-hmm. I think this was the crescendo that we all felt this was heading to, that we all felt was missing from the sort of weeks of back and forth promos. This little bit of face to face in ring exchanging of insults, leading to their first physical encounter between the two. I guess second, not including the shot to the nuts. But I thought overall the segment was fantastic. I thought both had really strong material that danced on that sort of work shoot line just enough to make it feel memorable and to make it feel somewhat real. You know, I really loved Cody's, like, to me, this was a segment that really showed you the difference between a promo battle where two people work together versus a promo battle where two people are just there insulting each other again. And I hate to continue to bring it up, but Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton, I think, is
MVP last week.
Sure. Yeah. Those are the freshest examples that are in our minds. Where, you know, in those ones, it was just kind of clear, like, we're all going to go out there to try to embarrass each other. And one person might do well, one person might not do so well. This was a case where both of them had really strong material insulting each other, but it was clear that they were ultimately working together to make the feud feel balanced, and ultimately both guys hotter as a result. They were delivering great insults and then delivering great counter insults to those insults. And by the end, I thought they built up like a really strong personal animosity for each other that I think was what was missing from all of this.
Yeah, and listen, we don't have the foresight to look at this program where it was going to go, because the angle was incredible in Toronto that they shot, and I thought it was like, okay, for all of this, they shot this incredible angle and they can just ride this wave into WrestleMania. I don't think it's the case where they are just riding this wave. I think if you could look at it objectively, I was never that opposed to, because we knew Cody and Cena, what was the plan. What we didn't know was the turn was going to come for Cena. Mm-hmm. And I thought the idea of just Cody, this generation star, Cena, the legend from the past, that's a great buildup for WrestleMania. And I think at this point, granted, we have not seen the next 3 weeks. We will see what they have in store. But I feel fairly confident that doing the turn at Mania as the reason for Dwayne to back Cena would have been the play. That it carries you out of WrestleMania. I think these two, I think this is stronger going in if you have not turned Cena yet. And that is the reason that you could still do that whole Cody Rock buildup at Chamber. He turns him down and then Rock just disappears. And it gives him a reason to help Cena. It sets up the rest of your year. Because I'm just finding the Rock has been a massive distraction in this program, and now they are kind of taking the leftovers and making the best out of it. And you have two great talkers, two great performers to lean on. So I'm not saying this program is in any kind of damage, but I do think like this has been a program that has had to overcome the obstacles of that angle instead of being of having benefited from this, one of their better angles that they've done in years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So again, we are left speaking of The Rock as sort of like this generation's, and I mean this only in a creative sense, but this generation's Vince McMahon, who will use his power to come in and rewrite a storyline to his liking at the expense of maybe an original plan. That was the case last year, and they pivoted in a way that accentuated things. This year, I guess the jury's still out on whether or not this current story is better than what they might have originally planned. I will say, like, they certainly benefited greatly from the publicity they received from doing the angle in March, I guess, rather than, April. And leading into WrestleMania, you can argue it's a lot more beneficial to do a big attention-grabbing angle before Mania rather than coming out of it, just for the added attention and added press. So, but as an overall story, jury's definitely still out, especially with sort of like the awkwardness of the transition from elimination chamber to these present weeks where we've had to just kind of Men in Black, Dwayne Johnson's involvement at all. But I will say, I thought, for me at least, I thought they did such a good job between the two of them here. I wasn't left coming out of the segment even thinking of Dwayne. Like I'm into these two now on their own.
Is this the strongest program for Mania this year? Of what has been built up so far?
Yes. On a mainstream sense, just like in terms of what it means, personally, that alone is enough to achieve that for me, regardless of maybe even the strength of the promos. But I thought you had a really great promo battle tonight.